Spectral threads, unveiling the veil of ancestral gifts. Scary story. Spectral threads, unveiling the veil of ancestral gifts. Scary story. In the ancient year, mysterious whispers of the supernatural resonated through time's corridors, compelling me to unveil the enigmatic tapestry woven into my existence. These ethereal tales, handed down through generations, reached me like distant echoes from a hidden past. Within our ancestral lineage lies an elusive gift, a mysterious force that has singled me out as the focal point of inexplicable occurrences. Over the past 2 years, I've become a canvas for clandestine attacks, eerie manifestations, and otherworldly experiences, leading me on a journey that sends shivers down the spine. What I'm about to tell you isn't so much for the sake of making you believe. In fact, I don't care much if you do. However, I believe it's important for us to open our eyes and realize that there's a beyond, that there is indeed a hell, and also a space between heaven and hell where these specters coexist. It's worth noting that for obvious reasons, I won't mention my name or current location. I don't intend to make this my lifestyle. So if anyone is looking for someone for a job, know that it won't be me. I was just 18 years old when all of this began, or at least that's as far back as I could control it. Many years before, if I remember correctly, I had already experienced paranormal moments that I didn't believe in, and until that age, I didn't accept them as part of my life. I was returning from a midnight party with my best friend in the residential area where we lived. It was safe to walk in the middle of the night without any risk. My friend had gotten permission to stay overnight at my house, so we were taking our time to get there, walking slowly. We were almost there when we heard the sound of something growling and claws scraping on the sidewalk behind us. Something was approaching us. We both turned around to see what it was when I saw a huge lump crawling a few meters away from us, and this thing lunged at us. Without thinking, I shouted at my friend to run, and she listened. I looked back and noticed that this lump had managed to catch up with my friend. Just as we were about to reach the house, it was my father who opened the door, and seeing us scared, he asked what was happening. That's when I realized that my friend seemed as if nothing had happened. I had clearly seen that thing reach her, but also I realized that others couldn't see what was starting to become normal for me. My friend told my father that she didn't know why we were running. She had only heard very strange noises. When she finally noticed, she saw a black dog. I told her it wasn't like that because I had seen a large lump moving toward us, and it had caught up with her. It seems that what I saw or understood was not common for others. That night, things didn't escalate further, but I started to feel uneasy about what had happened, and from then on, I began to see things. A few days later, I was alone in my room, doing homework. The incident with the lurking lump was already behind us. While doing my homework, I liked to play some music on the radio. However, at one moment, it started to go off key. I could hear, amid the signal noise and music, someone asking for help. The voice was very faint, but it sounded very familiar. I approached the radio and turned up the volume. It closely resembled my best friend's voice, who kept repeating, "Help me." I felt a strange sense of anxiety in my chest and a huge urge to talk to her. I quickly grabbed my phone to call her, but I couldn't reach her. I tried to calm down a bit, still feeling that sensation in my chest. I called her again, but I still couldn't get through. So I decided to wait, thinking maybe it was just a matter of time. The radio had regained a normal signal, helping me distract myself and forget about the matter. Several hours later, after returning from dinner, I remembered I would talk to my friend. I dialed again, and this time, someone answered. It relieved me a bit, but it baffled me to hear her mother's voice on the other end. My friend had the habit of biting pens and pencils as a way to cope with anxiety. Several hours earlier, while doing homework, she had bitten the eraser and it got stuck in her throat, causing her to choke. No one had noticed, and she had been without oxygen for several hours. There wasn't much that could be done for her. This devastated me completely. I didn't expect this to happen, especially that I had sensed it at the time. I shared what happened with my mother, who seemed to understand exactly what I was feeling. The next day, we bid farewell to my friend, as we had to. Our family joined her parents in their grief, but for some reason, I didn't want to see her lying in the casket. I still couldn't grasp the idea that she had passed away. My mother seemed to understand me even more, so she respected my decision. It's strange how that feeling of sadness suddenly leaves others. Everyone in the classroom already seemed indifferent to the loss we had experienced, and only a few days had passed. Only a few still felt the pain of remembering her, but personally, I could sense that she was still with us. I wasn't entirely wrong, as that night something happened that sent shivers down my spine. We had an exam the next day, and I was studying in my room when I heard a series of noises coming from outside. I could pinpoint the noises to my window. Since the curtain was closed, I couldn't see what it was. I approached to open it, but there was nothing. After waiting for a moment, I returned to my place to continue studying. After a few minutes, I heard a constant tapping on the window again. I looked, and to my surprise, I saw my friend outside. I could feel my skin crawling, and a cold sweat ran down my back. She started inviting me to come closer, but I was frozen with fear. In an instant, she vanished before my eyes. I didn't waste any time and ran to my parents' room. Seeing me so distressed, my mother tried to calm me down, and I told her everything I had seen. That's when she took the opportunity to tell me about this cursed gift in the family. I knew that many of my aunts practiced occultism, performed cleansings, and rituals, but I never knew why they had turned to black magic. My mother told me that when the family was still not settled in the city and lived on a ranch, my grandfather helped a shaman who was lost in the mountains. Grateful, the shaman shared his gift with the whole family, mentioning that the gift would disappear over the years. The seer. I never saw my friend's spirit again, but I won't deny it. I heard voices speaking to me when lying down or when I was alone at home. Particularly one day, I received a call from my friend's mom. She asked if I had noticed anything strange lately, because in her daughter's room, drawers would appear open, or she could hear noises as if her daughter was still alive and present. I didn't dare to tell her mom that I still saw her, but I mentioned that I wanted to take a walk to see her room one last time. With the help of my mother, we both headed to my friend's house. While my mother talked to my friend's mom, I entered her room. The scent of her perfumes was still lingering. One would never imagine that she was no longer with us. I sat on the bed, closed my eyes, and prepared to invoke her. I invited her to come closer for a chat, so I extended my hand and asked her to touch it to let me know she was there. After a few seconds, I felt the touch of something on the palm of my hand. I could feel a gentle touch, as if someone was softly touching my hand. I was so curious to open my eyes, but I knew that if I did and she was in front of me, I would be too frightened. I asked her to touch my hand with 2 fingers if it was her. I clearly felt a pressure on my hand, as if it was being touched with 2 fingers. Convinced, I began to talk to her, telling her how much I missed her, explaining that she was my best friend, and above all, assuring her that her family would love her forever. That's when I heard a drawer open. Suddenly, the abrupt movement made me open my eyes, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I approached the drawer and found a small box. Something inside me suggested that it was for her mom. I left the room to join my mother, and there I handed the little box to my friend's mom. She looked at me strangely and asked what it was. I told her that, apparently, that box was for her. We waited for a moment. It seemed that the box contained something very precious to the lady, because she couldn't stop crying. She mentioned that her birthday was approaching soon. That's when I remembered accompanying my friend to buy a gift for her mom, but she never got the chance to give it to her. The gift would remain stored for a long time, since her mom had no intention of moving things from her daughter's room for now. Her mom asked me how I knew where to look. I simply told her that my friend had told me. That way, I said goodbye to my best friend, never to see her again. However, things have been getting disturbed recently. As I've noticed, I've had the chance to see more specters and spirits. Most of the time, they have unfinished business and just need help. But one thing I'm sure of is that there are also demons seeking to harm, like that lump that chased us, which now, as I think about it, probably did harm my friend. Thank you for joining us for this spine-tingling story. We hope you found it both thrilling and thought-provoking. If you enjoyed this video, please consider participating in our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing it with your friends. Your support goes a long way in helping us create more engaging content for you. Goodbye, and may you always tread carefully in the world of the unknown.